Hey friends, my name is Allison Steele, and you're listening to Unravel with Allison. Unravel with Allison is a show where I take a concept that's got me in knots and we unravel it together. Thanks for being here. Welcome to another episode of Unravel with Allison. I'm not sure what we're talking about today because I've been awfully fussy this week. It was my last week of school, and I've really been scrambling trying to get everything I need transferred, all my projects finished, everything squared away to make sure that I'm good to go and I'm out because it's happening. It's now. It's over. And I don't like how it feels. It doesn't feel good. And I've even tried to sort this out on my own and look at this in a new light. And I've really tried to do all the things that I'm supposed to do to feel better and feel good about this. Because everything's changing really fast and I'm not prepared. And I don't know what to prepare for. And it's not a comfortable place to be, but I am here. And I've just been in go mode, trying to do the next right thing. And I was driving the other day. We were transporting a reel-to-reel machine. And as I was driving on the hills, I looked up at the sky and it was just perfect. And I rolled down the windows and it was just perfect. And I'm like, I think the weather has been this way for probably the entire week. And this is the first time I sat to really appreciate it. There were several times throughout the week that I went outside to just really just a quick sunbathe. I like that feeling. And it was just a quick recharge. But it wasn't a connection. It was me getting something out of it, not me appreciating it back. Emotionally, that's where I am right now. I'm sitting down and grabbing and collecting. I'm hoarding everything. Every experience, every emotion. I'm holding on so tight to everything, including the excitement and the terror. It's too big. I haven't felt creative. I didn't like last week's episode. And as I sat down to write them for this week, I trashed several because it was just fussy and I couldn't pull any goodness out of it. The gene keys in human design are very heavily linked, especially through the Ching. And I've loved exploring that on a weekly basis. I still get the emails every time we fluctuate into a new energy. There's an audio recording about his interpretation of the expressions. I also would read my book, The Laws of Change, the I Ching, and the Philosophy of Life. And I would go into my human design emails and they have a daily input. So it's fun to look at all of these things across the different platforms and see the uniformity and also to see the differences. But the differences kind of help you realize that you don't get it. So when I sit with a part why does it say this on this one, but it doesn't appear anywhere else? If you sit with that one word for a moment, I start to understand that my individual perception isn't what I thought it was. When I sit with the word and think about it and think through what I think it means versus how it compares to the rest of these groupings, I find out that I've been missing a piece the whole time. But also collectively, these words change meaning. So it's not that I don't get it, but that I'm 92 based. Everything that I know and how I've known and developed it was from 1992 forward. So however it was conceptualized in the 90s was how it was presented to me growing up. However, any of my life growth development is in relation to how it's based in our societal resonance as well at the time. Words don't mean the same things. Thousands of years ago, discussing banks, everybody would just immediately assume the river. But when I bring up banks, your first thought isn't going to be a riverbank. Your first thought is going to be a money bank because we're based in our reality. Anyway, I came across the email for this week and it had a seagull on it. And the outcome is liberation. And I'm just okay, I need to dive into this. Because if that's the energy available this week, I want it. I want some. I want to feel free. I want to feel liberated. And I feel heavy. And I'm sick too. I have all this congestion and pressure and inflammation basically from my shoulders up right now. So I'm working on it. But everything I've been doing or saying that I want to do or that I'm excited to revisit or whatever, it's been put on the back burner because right now I needed to get out of school. I needed to wrap that up with a nice little bow because the window was small. And even the other day, I got my daughter signed up for kindergarten. It's just like I've been tying up all my loose ends, but it really feels like I've been carrying these things around for so long. But it's like, oh, tying up all the loose ends at school, tying up all the loose ends at home. Everything's like packed away, but also a mess. Like I said, it feels kind of like hoarding. I'm happy to let go of the stuff that stresses me out. Like, I don't want to have that in the back of my head all day. Like, sign your kid up for kindergarten, sign your kid up for kindergarten. You have to do this. It's nice to be in process, having it done. I have one step left and that appointment is scheduled. So it's like, I feel good. This is okay. But my body is chaotic. Like, I know part of it is that I don't feel good, but like, what triggered what? Do I not feel good because I need to slow down and this is my body's way of holding me back? Or there's something floating around outside that's causing sinus pressure? I don't know what it is, but I've been pushing through it. So like yesterday, I had class and I was late and I was grumpy and I was just out of it. When I walked in the door, I was still in that mode of like, I just woke up and am doing things. I have not taken a second to consider my thoughts or my feelings or anything like that. It was just like, I'm up and I'm out. And I started off in an ugly spot. And when I had the opportunity to go to a studio, I stepped out of class and like sat down to do this episode. And I started writing one. And one of my friends came into my studio and was like, what is going on with you today? And I was like, it's nothing. It's everything. And it's the same stuff. And I don't know. And we talked it out a little bit and it felt better after talking with somebody. And it felt like it wasn't so daunting. It's not saying like we're in this garbage pit together, but it's saying that like, hey, you're about to leap out of it. You don't know what's coming, but you know you can face it. And that's the kind of stuff that like, duh, but I can't tell myself that right now for some reason. I can't hear it from myself. I can't find it in here. There's like a fear brain part that is like really, really, really trying to override right now. And like I can, I feel like a physical resistance to it where I'm like, backing up, like you are not welcome here. You have to do something else. This has to feel different. And I don't know what to do. So in these moments, I've just been crying through it and like hoping that my tears are just like lubrication for this new stuff to exist or like, you know what I mean? We're cutting this fruit and the tears are the juice that's coming out. This is good stuff and it's okay. It's okay that it feels wrong and it's even better that you're still doing it. Like writing my resume with my mentor last week was torture. We're writing it for an industry that I'm unfamiliar with. And I say unfamiliar as if like I haven't been going to school for this, but I haven't worked in that industry in that way. In the industry that I came out of, I was there for 15 years and I also did hiring and all of this stuff. So while we're sitting there doing it, I'm like looking at my resume from this singular viewpoint, well aware that this is not my industry. I'm looking at my resume like, ew, you would not even hire you. You wouldn't even consider yourself based off this resume. And you're going to put this out with your name on it? Like that's what's going on in my head. And I'm like, no, this is okay. No, this is okay. I'm interfering with that conversation in my brain, but it's still, the tears are happening. I'm thankful that my mentor can sit with me and let me talk through that and tell him like, yes, I trust your judgment way more than I trust mine. I trust your opinion way more than I trust mine. If you were applying for my industry, I would be the right person to talk to because I know what gets people hired. And I can see that same hat on his head. I trust him. Resumes were such a big deal to me when I was doing them and I sent them to people and had them review them. I always put accurate information in there. I always had genuine references. Like it cracks me up that people were putting friends down as references because Like I never considered it an option. I never knew it was an option. And when I found it out, I'm like, they would do a worse job than the people who would genuinely have a reference point as a reference. So I don't know. It's just a big integrity piece. And it's not that I'm not being genuine, but it's just that I don't have the same foundation to stand on. I don't have the 10 years of experience to put on a resume that I know gets me hired. You know, it's all so straightforward and clear cut, and it all makes sense. And I know that it's right. And it's this part where I have to convince myself that it's okay because my body is like, no, it's not. I'm like, where is the disconnect? Where are we going so wrong that nothing feels right? Because the situations that I can normally handle, I can't handle right now. I was standing in my hallway the other day, and I say hallway, but it's not a hall like a rectangle. It's a hall like a circle. So from that circle, there are 4 doors and 2 walkways straight to a room. Everything, like, that is the central place of the home. So in one moment, this was like 2 days ago, in one moment, as I was standing there, I could see 3 people, and they were each in different rooms. My youngest kid is yelling from the playroom, asking me to come play basketball. My 5-year-old's in the bathroom asking me to wipe her butt. My partner's in the kitchen asking me what I'd like for dinner. All 3 questions come at me at the same time. Neither of them can see the other one. And I freeze. And I look at all 3 of them and just like, time out. I can't think. I can't hear anybody. I don't know what anybody's asking. Can we stop for a second? And because I'm so chaotic in my delivery, everybody is chaotic back to me. Because I'm not saying like, hey guys, mom's having trouble regulating. Can we take turns telling mom what you need her to hear? No, that's not what it is. It's like, I can't do this. I don't understand any of your words right now. This mode, this anxious pull, this push, this pulse is at such a high rate of like, go, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. And then what? I go crazy. Because 3 months ago, I would have been able to stand there. Had all that happen, I could have asked my partner for a moment, turned to my youngest child and said, I will come play with them right after I'm done wiping the butt, and then head toward to wipe the butt. I used to juggle, and now it feels like being pelted with balls. I'm not juggling anymore. It's an avalanche, but nobody's doing it to me. It's like, this is all internal, but it's an avalanche right now. So I pick up my book today, The Laws of Change, I Ching, and the Philosophy of Life. And I turn to 39 because that is the expression for this week. And I appreciated it. So I'm going to share some of this with you because I needed it right now. I'm going to pull a couple pieces that were my favorite. You're faced with obstacles that you cannot overcome. The more you struggle with your problems, the larger they seem to loom. It's time to take a break from your efforts and pause. Stop trying to make everything work. Stop trying to make the world conform to your wishes. Your current strategies clearly have not been successful. You need time to reassess things. For a while at least. You need to let go of your emotional involvement with the situation. Step back and take a broader view. Admit to yourself that you simply do not know what to do. Instead, open your heart, open your mind, and patiently rethink your situation. Stop trying to enforce your will. Instead, look at things with detachment, humility, and acceptance. Be willing to learn. The point of detaching yourself from your current struggles is not to give up hope of eventual success. Quite the contrary. You must be absolutely determined to prevail in the long run. Do not give up hope. Persevere, even though you may have to wait or make a strategic retreat. If you maintain an enduring devotion to achieving your goal, you will eventually prevail. The test of great character is the ability to let go and walk away temporarily from a goal while being utterly devoted to achieving it in the long run. The obstructions that you face today will help develop your character so that you can better meet the challenges of the future. When obstruction leads to reassessment and self-improvement, it can be a blessing in disguise. Stop blaming other people for your troubles. Stop viewing yourself as a victim of circumstances. Look deep inside and consider how to improve yourself. The problem may be negative thinking, lack of vision, pride, inflexibility, or simple selfishness and immaturity. Perhaps you have your priorities misaligned. Perhaps you have unrealistic expectations of other people or hold yourself too high a standard. Whatever the problem, now is the time for reassessment and reflection. You need to give up illusions and gain some much needed perspective on the situation. I needed to hear all of that because I've been feeling all of that, and I needed a sense of direction. I needed to hear where to stop and what to do because I was getting back into that mode where the system runs itself, where there's no interference. I keep allowing my emotions to exist, letting them be okay, letting myself cry through those uncomfortable conversations with the resume and saying, okay, we're going to keep going, because keep going and programming through it is just going to lock it in. It's going to anchor it. It's going to be such an impactful moment. It's just, I know 5 years from now, I'm going to think that was so silly and so little. I know it. But this isn't just for me and my design or my gene key, whatever. But this is a universal energy that we're all facing from right now until the 6th of July. I appreciate the reflection. I appreciate taking a moment because I haven't given myself any of that. I've just been, what am I doing? Where am I going? Next right thing. Go, 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 go. I haven't sat to feel what my body feels like and feel what my thoughts feel like and separate that and spend time in my imagination or spent time learning things or considered new questions. I haven't had peace of mind. And peace of mind doesn't mean I need to be tranquil and serene 24/7. So I won't be like, why is everybody talking to me at the same time? I can't hear. It's like everything just comes through my filter as sound. I can't recognize what the words were saying when everybody was in a different room asking me the same thing at the same time. Couldn't comprehend it. I had to step away, break it down, and then come back. But like I said before, that's a situation where when I was peaceful and tranquil, I could be like, yo, you do this, you do that. I'm gonna do this. Let's go. I wasn't fazed in the same way, but I'm stunned. So why is that? And then I'm thinking of the impact of when that happens and how I choose to behave and how I am dismissed and not supported at home. It's just different when the environment's different, when you have somebody that can sit with you and understands their role as a mentor and can say, okay, good, I've got you. Let's do this together. Versus the family who loves you and leans on you and needs you, and they don't understand what's happening, and I don't have the capacity to explain it. It felt like I was drilling in those behaviors, anchoring that in, locking in that energy too, because when I express it in that frantic manner, everybody responds in a frantic manner. And just like working as a manager in a restaurant, people look to the manager for a sense, not of direction of what am I supposed to do next? But if the manager is in a bad mood, pretty much everybody else on the shift is that day too. It's just legitimate trickle down. If there's low value at the top, there's low value at the bottom. If there's high value at the top, that can spread around and share. Again, I don't need to be tranquil 24/7, but it's just I need to visit it. I need to spend some time with it. I need to stop beating myself up for not being productive 24/7 again. I need it to be okay to do what I can when I can. And also recognize that it's okay to pause things that I care about, to work on myself and still be completely devoted, but to walk away from it for a little bit. And I don't mean that in I refused to let the podcast be a part of that. Genuinely, I would not consider that an option. I know that I need this. And I know that this is the best good part of me that sits down and says things. And when I'm revisiting what I've said and it doesn't feel good or sound good, unfortunately, it's the best I could come up with. That's as good as I could find myself feeling to bring to the table. So when I sat down today, I went through some videos this morning of our show from last night. Basically, as a final project, these students put on this major talent showcase. And we have a talent show every semester. But with this being the last one, they did it different. And so like the sign up sheets were all completely filled out. Everybody was just jazzed to be a part of it and to come see it. And yesterday before the talent show, like when my friend came in to talk to me, he was like, hey, I'm emceeing the talent show tonight. Like, are you coming? Are you excited? And that's when I kind of snapped back into my reality. Like, oh my gosh, that's today. That's yes. Yeah. Yes, that's today. Oh my God. Yeah. And then I start to get excited. Like, this is cool. This will be fun. And he is like, you didn't sign up? Are you going to do anything? Do you want to squeeze in there, do something? I'm like, it's not really my platform. Everybody's like singing, dancing, doing cool stuff. It's not really, I don't have anything to perform. And he's like, well, write a poem or something. Get up there and do it tonight. So when we separated, I decided what I wanted to write the episode about. I sat down and started writing it all out, and I didn't love it. So I trashed what I was thinking about writing, but I also had a meeting yesterday with continuing some of my production work so I can still do underwriting announcements and be on the radio to still work with a production team to have something to show for this. And that meeting went very well, and I'm excited to pursue that relationship. And it was contingent on another person being a part of it. And that person was up for it, especially when I offered to take on the production role of like, I'll write our scripts. If you can read and send them to me, I'll edit it and send them over to the station and we're golden. And just everybody was on board. It was such a reassuring moment. And I was excited to sit there and confidently say, I can do this. And after that meeting, I ran into one of our other friends in the parking lot and I asked her if she was coming back for the talent show tonight. And she's like, oh, I thought that was the 4th. I was like, girl, we're closed on the 4th. She's like, that is tonight. And I signed up to do a poem. Yep. Thank you. Yes, I will be back up here. This is going to be fun. And I love working with these people. I'm excited to see what they do. Even though I've heard a bunch of their stuff, like live environment is different. What I didn't know until I got there, they invited so much alumni. Like one guy drove all the way from Texas. It was just so cool. It was so cool to see everybody come together, to see the teachers light up when they saw a face and scream their name because they haven't seen them in years and they're so excited to see them in person. And they're like, oh my gosh, this guy right here. We have stories for hours. We'd be in the studio laughing. He was a comedian and he did his own radio shows with different voices. And, oh, this person came through. I've never seen anybody do what this guy does. There was just so much beauty to be had in every encounter. And then the show itself was fun and exciting. There was music. One guy came up to do, quote, nunchuck shit. And that was like all of it was fun. Towards the end, when it got to like, it went straight to open mic. The DJ and the crowd going at it and all the alumni and got up on stage. We're just making the most of it. They just were catching the vibe, rapping, taking turns, pulling kids from the crowd to come up. And Skyla, who wasn't even going to be there, she got up on stage to rap. And I've never been more proud in my entire life, especially when she finished and came down. She was like, oh my God, I've never done that before. I'm like, could have fooled me. It was so fun to see that in her. It was so fun to feel the excitement in the room. We all just was like, what? When she grabbed the microphone. Yesterday was still in the mode of like doing the next thing. I cried all day yesterday. People had like heartwarming videos and everybody shared different beautiful stuff. I cried constantly and loved every second of it. But I considered the prompt too, to write a poem and do it at the show. So I sat down and wrote one. There was a moment at the talent show where I looked up and one of my teachers was walking away. And I was like, are you leaving? And he just shook his head and I gave him a nod. So I knew that he was in his room. And I went in to have a little chat with him. And that's when I saw another teacher that was walking by. He was also doing videography. So I was like, do you have like 2 minutes to come in here? And he's like, yeah. So I was sitting in a room with my 2 favorite teachers to have ever existed on the planet. One is very particular and into the minute details of perfecting exactly what we're doing, while the other one gives us the freedom and flexibility to produce what we're capable of and builds on that growth. Each teacher brought me something so special and so different. This is Tommy and Tyrone. Tommy is all about flawless execution, making sure everything is perfect. And Tyrone is like, what do you have to show for yourself? Let's see that and let's develop that. Let's highlight what you can do. We'll teach you what you don't know, but let's highlight what you're good at. Let's play with that stuff. Let's find your vision. And I needed all of it. I sat my teachers down and I said that I was encouraged to write something for tonight. And I did. I was like, I don't need to perform it though, but I would like you two to hear it. And they said, okay. So the three of us sitting together, I got to read them my poem, I Found God at ICB. I found God at ICB, but is God the same for you and me? Tyrone taught me Trinity, the relationship between knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, the relationship between truth, fear, and love. He showed me that I had stability when I struggled to balance. So to our funky urban monk in the red deep Jeep, I thank you for your service. But who is God and where is he, and how did I find it at ICB? Tommy taught me prayer and how to speak. Tommy Collins called me in, and since then I found my voice and the skills to use it. On day one, he teaches us to breathe. On repeat, he reminds us that the speakers are monitors. Make sense of that. On repeat, he reminds us that if the mic is not hot or you don't adjust your pot, it's all for naught. Tommy taught me prayer. Sit down, take a deep breath, collect your thoughts, and move with intention. Make the connection. Monitor. We can hear you. Hit record and execute flawlessly. As a boy, he dreamt he'd be a man of the cloth, but looking back now, it may seem off. But my claim is strong. He's been doing it all along. To our father, To our father, Tommy, I thank you for your service. It's not the same as how I grew up. He's not a stranger on a bus, but it's that little spark in all of us. All in all, it seems to me that God is good and good is free. And it's been good at ICB. And I thank you for your service. And it's not much and it's a little silly, but being able to share that, it was the smallest thank you that I could offer. I can't explain how it feels to be in a room with those men or the value I have for their perspectives. But they've both been essential to my growth and development, and they've both become friends. And I hope we get to work together in the future because I value these relationships more than words can say. I think today I just want to remind everybody that it's okay to not be okay. And I know that gets overused and worn out. Part of not realizing when you're so bad off is like not having those comparative moments. An AJJ lyric that I've always loved is I will always appreciate bad days like this because it grants me a point of reference in regards to my happiness. Because to pause for a moment and realize that it's not always like this, and it's not normally like this, and it won't stay like this. That's the part of all of these mental struggles. Don't forget that you have a choice. And even if you can't snap out of it, take note of what choices you do have and lean in on the goodness, create with the goodness, and see what happens. Because I still don't have any answers. But I feel better today than I did yesterday, and I'm a little scared. My security is unknown in my environment. I'm working on sourcing that security within myself. Thanks for listening to another episode of Unravel with Allison. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Unravel with Allison. Follow, subscribe, keep in touch, and stay up to date on new episodes. If you'd like to support the show, start with the algorithm. Rates and reviews always help to spread the message. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch you next week.